This is the John Brown Alliance, where we don't fear, we fight. Before I start this segment, I'd like to define the term redskin as it was told to me after I attended Sweat Lodge. Usually after we attend Sweat Lodge, we go have a big feast, after 4 days of worship. And back in the 1990s, everybody, when we go to these feasts, gets to stand up and make a statement. So at that time, we were battling the Washington Redskins name in the state of Maryland, and we had people that had been part of the movement come up and educate others about what that meant. Now, throughout Native America, there are many renditions of the term redskin and what it means to their people, because Native Americans are not a monolith, and people need to stop thinking of us that way. Just like you have Latino Americans now from Puerto Rico, Cuba, El Salvador, Guatemala, and other places, Native Americans were the same way. They were nomadic, they were clannish, they stuck to their groups, and those were families, and those people would lay their lives down for each other against any people. So when this individual from the Piscataway Nation got up and educated us on what the term redskin meant, I reflected back to some things I read by Peter Matheson and books like In the Spirit of Crazy Horse, when they talked about a bounty that the United States government put on exterminating indigenous people. And those included bounties that were turned in by Buffalo soldiers, black people, that served in the Civil War or they were escaping slavery. So they came out to the West and they exterminated my people. But I digress. At any rate, redskin was the description by these people at this particular ceremony as those heads covered in blood. Now the bounty was as follows. It was $3 for a child's head, $5 for a woman's head, and $7 for a male suspected of being a warrior and fighting against white people. The reason why I'm talking about this is because history repeats itself. And right now, a war has been waged in the United States against people of color. And if you think you're excluded, you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong. You are absolutely, positively at risk. And not only that, some of you have been indoctrinated into complacency since 1619. And this is why I'm not a Christian today. Because I know that everything I do is not holy. It's not good. But what I do that is not good is always for the greater good. And I would be willing to do some of the worst things in the world to protect my family, my neighbors, and the people I consider my people, the people close to me. Time and time again, Donald Trump has called MAGA voters stupid. He has told you he doesn't care about you. If you faint in the heat or you die in the cold, all he wants you to do is live long enough to vote. That's what he said on his platform. And then after I get your vote, you won't have to vote anymore. So I ask you, if MAGA voters are stupid like Trump says, then people like the Secret Service and any law enforcement agency that has been deputized against him are the true suckers and losers, because they are absolutely being used for a paycheck, which is not worth their integrity and their soul. But yet they go out every day and they do these things. And they might go to church on Sunday. And they call themselves Christians. How can you look yourselves in the mirror? How can you do that? How can you snatch kids from schools and go raid baseball practices in the name of your job? Or Donald Trump? What about the United States Constitution? What about oaths you took when you were sworn in as officers or military or people who are elected officials? And that goes for Democrats too. How do you look at yourself when you continue to sit on your ass and allow this to happen or actively participate in it? So what this has led us to right now is a desperate situation, probably more desperate than the people that colonized the United States, is taxation without representation. Every single day, all that missing Doge money and all the money that is not being sent to states because Donald Trump has decided they don't back his objectives is an act of taxation without representation. Because all of these entities, universities, hospitals, scientific research centers, have failed to receive to this date money that the Trump administration got on TV and said they were going to release, but these checks were never written and sent. And that is a fact. There are still people that are waiting on their checks so that they can fund these organizations, and they have not come. But MSNBC and CNN, they don't report this stuff. They get on the next thing and they talk about it for the next 6 days. But right now, while we sleep and while we get on the next thing, these checks are not being delivered. What this means is children in your school district are not only not going to have food to eat at lunchtime because the school lunch programs have been canceled, but they won't have books, paper, or anything else because the blue states have been defunded by the Trump administration, and those checks have not been received. And September is right around the corner. This is what you voted for. If it's not what you voted for, it's what you stayed home for. If it's not what you stayed home for, it's what you attacked other Democrats that didn't agree with every single solitary thing you did, and you put them down so they didn't win elections so we could win and avoid this catastrophe. But I digress. For those of you who think you need a paycheck to validate yourself by your children, they're not going to remember what you did and the sacrifice you made to protect Donald Trump. Now I'm talking to Secret Service. I'm talking directly to the people that take our tax dollars and fund the protection of a rogue organized crime syndicate and murder machine that now inhabits the White House, the United States Congress, and the Supreme Court. Add extortion to the crimes via lawsuits against TV networks and the media. You can always quit your job and find another, but you can't erase your legacy and your personal participation in the largest terrorist attack on American soil since the land was stolen and the Civil War. If your pride and dignity and how you will be perceived and judged by your children take a backseat to a fucking paycheck, not only do you lack basic integrity, but your moral compass is broken. I would die of starvation before I protect the life of a man engaged in economic genocide against people of color, elderly, and children. That is why I'm not a Christian. Because every single time that people have been victims of genocide, Holocaust, or exterminated, it has always been done by white people under a cross, wrapped in a flag. And those people have indoctrinated us into believing that they have the answer, that they know what is best for us. They don't. Every day I look in the mirror, I can live with myself. Because I'm not bought, I'm not paid for, or a slave of any person, entity, party, or ideology. I think for myself. So I don't need to get on YouTube and bash this or bash that, or, put out these blanket statements with no fact. Because I am at peace with myself. I know who I am. And I don't need to prove who I am behind a keyboard. So if you feel the need to criticize me, decide who I am or what I stand for, or dictate to me how I should live as a human being, have the audacity to do it to my face. And I'm not talking about these penny ante keyboard cowboys, because they're never going to show up. I already been there and done that with the Ku Klux Klan. I'm talking about people like Christy Nome, people like Stephen Miller, people like Mark Rubio and Donald Trump. At least in the South, the KKK showed up. This new white supremacist movement is so afraid of people that look like me that they won't do that shit in my neighborhood. They send goons with guns to do it. Put the guns down, motherfuckers. Put the fucking guns down. Grow a pair of balls. If you want to take away my neighbors, and you want to take away my friends, then put your gun down and do it with your fist. If you're supreme because you're white, and this is white America for whites only, don't shoot the deer with a fucking gun, because he's defenseless. Be a fucking man or a fucking woman and do it with your hands. You know why you don't? Because you can't. And you're cowards. And you're losers. And so is every single solitary military individual that follows your orders, that defy the Constitution, and every law enforcement agency that you deputize. You are losers. And guess what? For every paramilitary outfit you buy at the military surplus, and all these gadgets and stuff you have, and your gun, there are at least 10 highly trained military individuals in every single solitary hamlet in Prince George's County, Maryland, that can take that away from you. They are trained to do so. So if you think about just the DMV and expand that to all the military veterans that got fucked over under the Trump administration, consider this. Don't fake the funk and try and play the part if you don't know how the safety works. Because believe you me, those people surrounding you do know how the safety works. This is the John Brown Alliance. Have a great day. And by all means, resist.